As the animator of this video, I wanted the opportunity to respond to many of the users' comments. And as I am limited to 500 characters or less as you are, I figured the best way would be to post another video. And I do apologize in advance that I will be reading from my written statement, and so I will be breaking eye contact with you. Later I will explain a technique that I have initially found that will reduce the severity of this disagreeable and frightening to most visual phenomenon. My friend who suggested it said it works for him all the time. So let's test his theory here. I'm not suggesting that this technique will mitigate the horrible headache effects that so many sufferers have that follow this phenomenon, but it might, so let us know. First, don't panic. These visual phenomena are experienced by millions of people. Unfortunately, as I said, many of them have that as a precursor to the horrible migraine headache that follows. If you only have that visual phenomenon, consider yourself lucky. And please don't worry. 99.99% of the time, these are not indicative of a brain tumor or of anything serious. Especially so if they are not associated with other more debilitating effects such as extreme numbness or loss of speech. For those who suffer the horrible headache that follows, I am so sorry for you. But for those horrible headache sufferers, these phenomena can give you a head start to offset that coming nightmare. There are apparently plenty of steps that you can take to reduce the headache severity with this kind of head start. For those who have that accompanying headache, and the actual having of the visual phenomenon is actually more of a blessing than a curse, because for them it allows them to offset this. And for them, it is my understanding, the scotoma that we complain about is nothing compared to the headache. As a disclaimer, there are many different and varied visual oral experiences that one can have that are considered scintillating scotoma, or an aural migraine. The classic growing C-shape with the fortification edges that starts as a spot and eventually grows out of our field of view is merely one of the most common. As the animator of the video, I would like to say that it is an imperfect representation of the specific phenomenon we all experience, and is in no way indicative of all these experiences. For one, these scotoma last 60 to 100 times longer than the video. Imagine how boring it would be to try to watch one in real time. Two, at least as far as my experience, the fortification edges, though outlining the growing C-shaped spot, are not fixed to the edge, nor are they connected together as the video depicts. Example, the colors don't alternate, they shimmer more, and they overlap. To have tried to make it more accurate would have taken me probably several hundred more hours to do, as I would have had to make separate layers for every fort-shaped edge. I didn't have the time to do that, so I settled. Three, I represented the blind spot in the center simply by overall reducing the opacity or transparency of the area. I probably should have strobed that opacity more to indicate how transparent that blind spot actually is in the phenomenon center, and I could have thrown in some sparkling star aberrations in the center as well. Four, I have experienced a brief flash, as if I looked at a pinpoint of extremely bright light, which then grew larger into a blind spot and continued to grow outward with the shimmering edges only appearing as it grew. I didn't depict this in the video. The point is, I myself could go on with plenty of self-criticism of the video, but in my opinion it does represent the experience enough so that viewers can relate to it and find some relief in having shared that experience with others. Meanwhile, I just had another one of these 2 days ago, and I believe the steps that I took as it initiated mitigated the effect substantially, because it was completely different than any of the ones that I had before. It was far more mild, there was no C-shape, and it didn't grow outward either. It was just a mixture of a semi-blind spot and fortification edges, and it had no shape, and it was more in the center of my field of vision, and not intense by any means, and it didn't last as long. I do suspect it was not as intense because of the steps that I will describe below, which I tried immediately from the recommendation of my friend. What I did was, as soon as I first noticed the onset of it, I drank a large quantity of water and I ate a power bar, and it did not progress as it usually does. The idea is dehydration and low blood sugar may be related to the phenomenon, and ingesting such can reduce the intensity. My friend has said that drinking Gatorade is perfect and has reduced the overall intensity of the effects for him many, many times. No, neither of us are doctors, but they haven't offered any solutions, only explanations. So I am suggesting that others try this and report back if it does reduce the experience significantly. You can't be at home all the time when it happens, but try keeping an emergency Gatorade at home or at the office and drink it as soon as you feel one coming. Let us know if there are any effects. Look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks for everything.